back this year. But I don't think we can say for certainty, which makes it really hard for GENG.
Yeah, I think it is a lot of the flexibility that they're trying to keep, but I also think it's a big takeaway because Doran probably would have liked to provide that front line there, have the Gragas to try and at least do something in these matchups, but now taking that away, we will see Doran go back to another late game scaling carry, but definitely something that hasn't been as strong. So good thing that Delight does have this Alistair because he's going to be so crucial for setting up these fights for GENG.
Still swapping, still swapping, still swapping. We'll see where it does land. It looks like it's going to be the Rumble on the top side, Owner in the jungle there on the Gragas, and Faker's Cassante in that mid lane. We kind of expected the Cassante to be used mid. We'll see how Chovy is going to be able to deal with it. Faker with... Okay, never mind. Okay, so it will be the Rumble in the jungle. I hope that he picks the skin. He needs the Rumble in the jungle skin in order to play jungle. He does more damage to jungle camps with the Rumble in the jungle skin. Oh, man. See who's going to be able to stay alive in this upper bracket and who is going to fall to the lower, because after like a series like this, it's so much worse for the mental to then go into the lower bracket. You're so much more susceptible if a series goes this long and then you barely don't manage to pick up the win. And guys, last time we saw the Rumble in the jungle, it was Canyon in 2021 in the final of MSI.
And it was a loss.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Oh.
Remember the
you remember who it was against, Dagda?
I think it was an LPL team.
Can you maybe say their name?
Yeah, there was an LPL team that won a lot of MSIs, wasn't it?
Yeah, was it Orangey?
Yeah.
RNG, yeah.
Orangey, yeah.
I think it's Golden. Sorry, that joke goes way too far back. Never mind. Okay, so T1 setting up for the early game. No shenanigans to start this one off. We have to do that check after all of the Scions that we'd seen prior, but no Scion means no problem as far as this early game setup. So, GENG moving on in, looks like a topside start for them. Just standing away from this ward for now, as Chovy will be able to get that one cleared. Doran going to help out with that.
And that's quite big, because it means that there isn't actually any knowledge for T1 for certain where Peanut is going to go. The Poppy Peanut in particular is notorious for just flashing over Dragon Wolves. Yeah. Very early on, did it all the time last summer. So him not being known, I think, is a really big win here for GENG in the early game. And it's going to mean that T1, specifically the bot lane, I think, need to play it a little bit safer.
And gentlemen, after we do get out of this pick and ban, moving into this game, who do we think has the edge as far as these drafts are concerned? Because it has been a really long time since we've seen the Rumble in the jungle, and T1 have taken some risks, I guess, with something that isn't necessarily as tried and tested.
It's really hard for me to try and say right now, because I'm trying to like work through, I think something like a Gwen can actually do very well into a team fight against T1, right? Because Gumayusi, relatively short range for an AD carry. If you can actually snipe out Gumayusi with a lot of these ultimate procs from the Gwen, it can deal major damage and make these team fights very hard for Guma. But on the opposite side, I mean, Paze has so many things that he needs to try and deal with. The Equalizer, Carrier trying to jump onto, Faker even potentially doing Zeus casks, and that's where it becomes very hard to really say. I think a huge amount of this is execution, and can Guma get into the deal the damage?
At the same time, last game, Paze was a Jinx with effectively no peel besides just his teammates, right? There was no Kench, there was no Thresh, and he stayed alive against that composition. So I find it very hard as well, because what I love about the T1 comp is that this is a comp that effectively plays itself, right? You go in with Cassante, with Rakan, and with the Gragas, and then you blow up whoever is in front of you. And really, I think the only thing that you are really going to struggle with is Peanut with that Steadfast presence. But I actually really like the Alistair here, so I'm thinking I'm leading to the conclusion that I actually have no idea. As I'm arguing in circles. I like both compositions, and I think the first few skirmishes, getting, for example, this Rumble ahead, might make the complete outlook of the game completely different.
But that's exactly where I want this Game 5 to be. I want to see how both these teams can go head-to-head on two excellent comps where you're going to have to see exactly, like, can you try and have major upsets with, like, Gumayusi flying in on feathers, flashing forward, killing off Paze maybe in the backline, or can Delight find those big knock-up combos in the backline as well? Like, so much of this game is going to come down to execution and skill expression. And when you're in a Game 5 against two of the best teams the LCK has produced, that's exactly where I want this game to be.
Well, we'll just have to see where the first point of contention is going to be. Right now, just laning, just, okay, Delight. Gonna try and find himself a knockup. Does have to flash to get out of the way of the grand entrance there as T1 getting frisky. Owner now moving down towards this bottom side, and with no flash on the Alistair, could be dangerous. They did have a ward, so they are able to back themselves away.
Well, I was just about to say, it would be very LCK for now nothing to happen for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It was waiting for a fight to break out, but fortunately, Keria able to force a flash there of the light. Really has to respect, right, the fact that Gumayushi, if he gets the fatal recall, can take him down. Post 6, Light not really going to be worried about that anymore, as he will have his ultimate available. But for now, really need to respect, and I do agree with you, Dagda. I think the bot lane matchup, getting someone ahead there, has been a really big part of whichever team is at least able to get a lead and take control of the map in the series.
Nice response to the charm there from Faker, but still going to lose out on this trade in this mid lane. And the thing I want to talk about is the top lane, because we've been talking a lot about the Gragas of Doran all series long. But Zeus debuted on a Gnar, but then played a lot of Gragas that season and was absolutely insane on the pick. As we check in on it, he's winning out a trade against the Gwen in the early game, something that's to be expected, but he's been able to find some really great angles on this champion in the past, and we'll see whether he can do it again. As once more, Doran going down very, very low, and now Owner is going to move in. Harpoon's at the ready. Zeus very close to level 6. Only one minion was going to do it, I believe, as there it is.
I mean, top jungle 2v2 rather is really, really threatening, because Owner, if he hits his spears, especially after the buffs, you're going to get blown up in seconds, right? And particularly if you're Gwen, you rely so much on your Shroud to avoid damage. Neither Rumble nor Gragas is going to particularly care about that. Also looks like, as expected, Zeus is going to go for the AP Gragas build, so a lot of damage coming in from the top side.
Yeah, especially since you are so AP focused, like the 24% magic resist that can come through at level 1 if you hit both spears is absolutely absurd. But nothing going to happen here, as both teams are back away. Faker will spot out Peanut, but is just going to make sure that he can secure the crab here for Owner. Chovy in the vicinity, but I really don't think GENG can do much here.
Yep, Faker just going to move on over and protect his ward. Does so quite nicely. Charm is going to connect, but the Aftershock working out nicely there from Faker. And still going to go down low, but he's Cassante. Just doesn't really care about that whatsoever. Gets to work on these minions.
The slower paced early game, though, is going to help out Pace quite a bit. He has the Cull already picked up, like your kind of Felios. Like, if you aren't worried about dragons going across early or having to fight maybe for early Rift Heralds and stuff, you're going to be in a bit of a better spot, especially as level 6 starts to crest. That's where Design and Rakan get so much of that early game presence. So at the moment, if things are not working out, GENG are pretty happy to just coast on through this.
On the flip side, I think T1 also, like, looking at the equalizer, right, the Featherstorm and the quickness, a lot of these can be layered to make sure that you win any team fight. And then it comes back again, like, if you are able to lock someone in a Charm, Alistair, Poppy combo, take him down, can win the fight from there. Same can be said for T1. The amount of hard engagement they have and ability to punish small individual mistakes is really big. This time around, though, no ability for GENG to contest.
And that's why I like that T1 are trying to set these dragons up, starting to imagine move up towards this Rift Herald as well. They're the ones that just want to make sure that they can actually keep the pace of this game up, play off the 2-item spike that they're going to hit with, like the Rumble and also Gumayushi as well, and just make things very uncomfortable for GENG in the mid game. GENG have to try and find ways to slow down the pace of the game, but Owner's doing a pretty good job at the moment of just leaning to different parts of the map and making it uncomfortable for GENG.
Okay, he's going to have to stop that back there as the Gravitum is going to stun up Gumayushi for the moment. Not too much action as this game goes on. T1 picking up about a 200 gold lead, guys. Something
riveting.
That I didn't need to mention at all, because it means not a whole lot at this stage of the game, because being risk-averse in a game number 5 is something you'd expect, but Pace going to get knocked up. There is a very offensive Featherstorm as now Owner comes in. Pace is walking it out to Light. Not going to be so lucky. Steak on the menu here, and it's going to be barbecued by the Rumble.
So I said T1 needed to go for the Rift Herald, but instead they're like, no, screw it. We're going to give that over to GENG, use the fact your jungler's spinning resource there to go for the dive on the bot side and answer for their turrets immediately, with Guma being able to pick up 1 plus the kill.
Really big here. Owner also, he hadn't backed at that point. Like, I don't know how much his gold is sitting on, but he is more than 2 M-Tomes worth, particularly after the kills. There we get our answer, almost 1900 gold. Play still works out as they know where Peanut is. And for GENG, at least pace doesn't go down. You know,
all right, we're going real aggressive here as they get the knock up. Bouncy Castle in position, and Owner going to be tidied up by Peanut. Answering back 1-1 now is the kill score.
Amazing stuff there. You can see the double flash committed. Won't more than likely come back to bite them just because there's no real objectives that are up for the moment. But I was curious to see if you would actually see Peanut just immediately move down to the spot side and trying to get some of that goal back into FaZe. But going to move back in towards his own jungle. Carry now making his way down towards the bot side as well to make sure Guma isn't under any threat from the jungler. And it's just one quick kill for GENG.
Want to highlight as well that with how this early game is going, the team able to get a huge lead. I also think that how GENG is going to use this Rift Herald is going to be really important, because if they can use that after maybe a kill, get a bunch of plates, with the right weapon setup with Aphelios, you are even able to just take down a turret right from the get-go, right? Although Guma's ultimate is about a quarter of the way done, so once that's available, probably not going to have that opportunity anymore.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I was curious to see if they just immediately went to the bot side, because yes, you've now got the red-white guns, which is perfect for taking it, but Keria is spot on ward as he moves in, but the fact you will have the ultimate for Guma means he can't really do too much. And
all right, well, that is a heroic charge. Faker in a bit of trouble here, but does manage to mitigate some of that CC. Goes all out onto Peanut, now just trying to fight the Poppy. Chovy, though, is going to make his way through. Faker's still alive for the moment. Flash! He'll survive!
That was sick from Faker. I had no idea he was going to be able to get out of that one. Still might not. His charm just goes wide.
Yeah, Chovy getting caught there, but not stepping too far forward. No opportunity for Owner. Really well done by Faker, because we talked about the mid-jungle 2v2. Snowballing that has been such a big part of whichever team gets to take control of the series. This time around, not going to work out for GENG.
Well, Doran being kept at bay here by Zeus in the top side of the map, but man, Faker, the fact that he's been this good for this long still blows my mind. And I've seen a fair bit of him. It's just ridiculous. Give him a Cassante as well, whose buttons do a whole lot of work. But still, Shelly going to pop down here on this top side of the map. And Doran going to be given some money. I actually really like this idea from GENG.
Yeah, and this is what I was kind of talking about earlier, is like, when you have these short-range AD carries, a Shroud and that Gwen can be such a nuisance for them. So it feels like GENG at the moment are going, look, FaZe is going to be fine, he's going to scale into infinity, he'll be all right. Let's see if we can get Doran rolling, get this early Rift Maker. He now becomes a massive threat into Zeus in the side lane. Plus, when we get to these team fights, if he can land these ultimate procs through the T1 team, he can do so much damage to Gumayushi.
Onto light, getting over that wall, but spots himself a control ward, so not going to find any joy there. And Faker now takes a bit of damage in the mid lane, but isn't too worried about it because he's Cassante, he's pretty tank.
Do want to highlight, GENG have not really prioritized early dragons. This time around, I wouldn't really mind it, because with Chemtech and Ocean already, or rather Cloud already on the table, odds are that you're going to get an extremely high value soul, and starting off that chain early would be quite nice, as Doran was waiting for Zeus, but even though Zeus, I don't know if he knew, he was definitely ready. Trade not going Doran's way.
Yeah, the AP Gragas actually having a pretty good time here in this lane so far.
Oh yeah.
So as the dust is settling,
the reverse
it's
take?
extremely even. We have another plate going down here. Carrier going to lock that one up. Says thanks for the extra bit of cash. As Faker's going to have his back stopped, and now Doran in a little bit of trouble here. Zeus continuing to go aggressive. Still, he's Gwen. Does have his leeching there and things like that. Should be all right. Looking for a back timer.
If that's game one, they're both throwing their ultimates, and they're going for the all-in. Like we're throwing everything, but now both of them have teleport available. I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see some pretty heavy aggression towards this dragon here.
I think that's the big one, is having those up and available for the dragon fight is going to be so crucial. Faker trying to make sure he can get this wave pushed in. Will trade some of his health bar for it. Chovy not quite able to get the Everfrost, but you will see in River already Gumayushi and Keria taking position. Owner going to be coming across in a second. And if T1 can control vision here, you setting up for Keria with the big ult onto Owner. That's where you can find success here for T1.
Without Peanut there, though, it looks like GENG is saying, hey, we don't really need to go for this. Still on the top side of the map, looking for a back right now. And looks like they don't want to take the risk of trying to fight for the Drake early here.
I was about to say, I'm curious to see what Chovy does, because you can push in mid, which is just done, and lean to the top side, potentially look for a dive at Peanut, but Peanut gone for the reset as well. Looks like GENG don't want to cross map at all. They're just going to say, look, we're going to take this slow, make sure that we're trying to match in case they immediately try to move into bot or mid, and not let FaZe fall behind in this one. Well, further behind.
Ocean Soul is going to happen, so Mal, we get one of yours.
Nice.
So triple Dagda, an Orcs, and a Chronicler.
Yeah.
Love to see it. I miss out.
No Atlas yet, but you have plenty.
There has been a Cloud Drake in every game, and I'll take that, you know? So we've had 5. So 5 have gone down. So it's more than, you know, a regular game.
Yeah.
So
I think it's
I'll
nice.
take that.
I think it's neat. Riftmaker done for Doran here. That's a really, really big spike for the Gwen. And if we look at how some of these champions use, right, the Ocean Soul, Gwen to me is the main one. She already feels extremely unfair once she builds up enough AP. The amount of sustain that she gets from her needles and her Q is kind of insane. And let me tell you, if you add an Ocean Soul on top of that, that top lane 1v1 is not going to be sustainable anymore.
Feels like it sounds like it started raining in here. And I actually kind of love that because we've got an Ocean Soul. Thank you so much, London, for that one. It's now T1.
Atmospheric.
That's the Shirley being started here, down to 4,000 health as GENG are looking for the team fight. Good knock up onto Carrier, but he gets himself out. Phenomenal equalizer, right in the right position. Carrier has to get out of there, though. He's very, very low. The feathers get pulled back, but no joy is almost there from Doran, and it's going to be Chovy that finishes that one off. Collects another kill, doesn't get the charm, as T1 now just trying to get themselves to safety.
And by the end, nothing happens. Nothing.
Carrier went down.
Carrier went down.
In trade for the Rift Herald, so it's an even trade.
Good
Yeah.
enough. What I want to highlight there is both the setup from T1, the bait that they were setting up with Zeus, hiding in the pit, and then the response time that we see here. Crucially, this is after Peanut misses the ultimate. That could have been a game-deciding factor. Draw your attention to the flash that's about to come out here.
Oh my God.
But even though he doesn't go down, crucially, Pace is still zoned away from the fight as Doran.
Yeah, Doran could be in a little bit of trouble here. His own is going to move up, lands the harpoons, and Doran not as immune as he wants to be. Just going to get taken down there. Owner collects his second of the game.
And not quite the best look there for Doran. Doesn't realize that Zeus managed to stick around in the bush, but you can kind of get the idea that GENG are going for here, which is, hey look, Chovy's going to be fine on the side lane. Let's stick Doran, who's got that Riftmaker completed off on the side as well. But now, Delight, you don't have the members on the map that you want to, so he'll be forced to back away.
Yeah, just going to clop his way out of there. Is now Faker in a little bit of trouble. Peanut trying to keep him in position. Goes all out. We've seen this one before. We'll see whether Faker can once again survive it as Chovy is looking to say no. As he gets over the wall, the charm still connects. And Chovy's going to collect it with the Foxfire.
Just about able to finish that one off. Faker, not surprised to see Peanut rock up, but now Rift out of the mid will get one charge.
The classic Faker. It's Faker for turret.
That's a lot invested though, and they're going to get a first break and a subsequent charge.
Yeah, there is the ultimate to come through from Peanut as they flash away. Gumayushi making sure that he keeps himself safe, but won't have that summoner spell for the next engage.
It didn't want to end up getting caught by Delight. I wasn't sure if Delight was going to invest it, but you see it here as Chronicler was saying, a huge amount invested.
Yeah, because even though they are able, this is one of the reasons why Cassante is so highly prioritized. Even though they do end up getting him, look at how much time he wastes, right? And not just time, Chovy is forced to invest his flash just to make sure that they actually get the kill, and because of all the ultimates, all the time, all the cooldowns invested, T1 then gets the mid lane play. We do see GENG trade back a little bit. If they could have actually started the fight, would have been amazing, but they only get Guma's flash, which, while good, it is Xayah, so there is a lot of innate safety nonetheless. As a result, Gold still dead even at 17 minutes here.
You can see though that GENG were like, look, if we can get a couple of these slows off, if Doran does grand, we can get Delight into the fight. But the fact that you want to hold on to this flash is so crucial, especially when you're looking at the Dragon that's up in 55 seconds. That's what GENG are trying to play for here, and that's why you can see Doran now in the spot side, trying to establish vision with Delight. Peanuts on the way. They want to make sure that they're in a position to get good flanks off for guys like this Alistair, so they can actually try and contest Gumayushi in the forest.
Gold difference powered by AWS, not giving us a whole lot of information because honestly, the gold has been pretty much identical between these two teams throughout this game. The amount of trades that have just been incredibly even has been too many, so it's hard to say who's really coming out ahead. I feel like the team with Gwen, though, often feels a little bit more dangerous as you get to late game, but then there's a Xayah situation, and I just don't know.
Yeah, it's really tough. It's also, I think, the first game that is truly close. Because even though some of the games that we've had in this series felt close, it was one team had a decent position, but despite being a couple of K gold behind, not so much this time around. A lot of vision that is inaccessible due to this Ocean Rift. So is GENG actually going to walk in? Because T1, full control of the area right now.
Yeah, early to mid game has been T1 3 games and GENG 1 game, and in this game, it's neither team that has that control.
The thing is though, because T1 have control over River, well, Peanut just waltzing on through. Doran wasn't able to defend that bot lane turret, so now you can kind of see Doran doesn't have control, so GENG now trying to bring it back, but at least Pays isolated. You got to take a step back and make sure the AD carry's coming with you.
You got to be really careful. You can't fight in these corridors. If you get comboed with feathers and an equalizer, it's unplayable, and it looks like GENG have been slowed down too much, unable to make their way over to the Dragon.
Yep, not going to be able to get in there. Too much control, and T1 will get themselves Soul Point. So Ocean Soul, in 5 minutes' time, is going to be the fight that they're looking for. Speaking of fights, Chovy looking for an opportunity. They managed to get the Featherstorm, actually a big cooldown, but with the fact that they just took the Dragon, it's likely that they're going to be able to wait out that cooldown.
Yeah, I mean, look, yes, our Baron's up in 12 seconds' time.
Oh yeah, that means that there is a Baron fight within the next 3 minutes, right?
Yeah. Well, true. But you still have Flash that's about to come up for Gumayushi, so he'll be all right. Like, there's no real threat that GENG are going to be able to put off. It was a nice attempt, kind of just like, hey, look, we'll see if we can fish for something as now. They're going to see if they can get Faker on this top end.
Well, Peanut biding his time, not wanting to give his position away, as Faker going to mitigate the CC. And we'll just walk away. So not going to get too much excitement, action, and things like that.
Yeah, I think after try 1 and 2, they're like, is it even if we get him, is it really worth it? And in this case, they also don't have topside control, and if Owner does end up showing up, the 2v2 is a much different situation than if you'd just be 1 versus 2.
All right, gentlemen, I want to play a game. At
Oh, no.
what time
Oh, no.
is the gold lead going to be over 1,000?
26 minutes.
26 minutes for Dagda, Chronicler, and what about you?
I'm going to say 24. I think someone is going to get Baron.
So 24 minutes?
Yeah. How about you?
Okay, I'm thinking 22.
So I have a feeling.
Oh, 22.
So I have a feeling what'll happen is we'll get to next Dragon. GENG are like, okay, do we really care about Ocean Soul? Not particularly. Let's just try and bait Baron, which means that then one person on T1 gets Dragon, and then we just have this Baron dance indefinitely until Boulder.
Why does
I'm
he
going to
have
be wrong in 45 seconds.
Why does he have a reason? I'm not understanding. That's not the point of this game. Stop explaining it so well, Dagda.
Yeah, I actually feel even more stupid
Sorry,
for
I'm the new
picking
guy.
a time that's very
right?
silly.
I'm trying to work it out.
Come on,
you know?
man.
No, it's okay. We'll
the
have
rules.
another game coming up. If this is still going to move relatively slowly, there'll be plenty more games. Totally fine. Hang on, 30 seconds away from being wrong. As Peanut.
Keep that counter going.
Yeah, got to make sure we stay on top of it. Carrier gets back to base just fine. And okay, so what are we at? About 500.
Yeah, it's not naturally gonna. It's not just gonna happen.
No, I got
There's something
12
needs
seconds.
to go.
12 seconds. Chovy, can you get a kill in 12 seconds? Well, if not, if you miss all your abilities. Okay, there we go. And is going to move back and pick up the minion wave as GENG just getting control around the Baron Pit. Understandable into T1. Against other teams at around 20 minutes into the game, maybe you wouldn't necessarily need to invest this much vision around this area, but against T1, you definitely have to.
So I want to highlight, as
And
we
I'm
see,
wrong.
Owner, thank you for that, very important. Owner actually going for Death Cap second here, so like really trying to max out the AP that he gets and just toast his opponents in the shortest amount of time. Quickly, it's also done for Gumayushi. Did go for Kraken, which we've seen more and more. Does mean that some of the maneuverability in a fight and the really big feather combos are a lot harder to hit.
I think it makes sense though when you're only really worried about Delight's engage, and it's relatively easy
Oh,
to get
yeah,
a
I
Feather
agree.
Storm or something. So I definitely like the trade-in. The only thing I'm worried about is that like the longer this kind of stalemate continues, we do end up dooring getting to super late game. We'll have the Infinity Edge completed, and I feel like this is as soon as this Rabadon's death cap is completed for T1, that's the moment where they're strongest, and that's when they really need to kick it up a gear. It should pair nicely with when the Dragon's up, but as I said, I'd be very surprised if GENG actually try to commit to anything at that stage.
All right, well, I mean, taking that inner turret meant that T1 brought it all the way back to Dead. So we are still waiting for someone to make that play that gets some sort of advantage in this game. And right now, it is just so much posturing.
I kind of, it works on so many levels. It works in the context of this series, right?
Yeah.
Because it has been brought to a fifth game. Also happens, in spite of how much more proactively LCK has gotten, sometimes we fall back into some old habits, like 5 kills in a 23.5-minute game.
Surely
but
not
when,
GENG, though.
when
GENG
it
have
breaks
never been
out,
slow.
when the action starts, I don't think we're going to get any rest. So I think we should collectively enjoy the moment of
breath.
peace and tranquility.
He says to the guy who's doing the LPL, peace and tranquility. So much of that over
I'm
there.
just shaking in the corner like, what's happening? Look, I'm a changed man. I'm now LEC, you know?
Yeah, no, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But that was quite recent. My LPL is kind of worn off now.
Yeah.
After about 6 years.
Took a
How
while.
long did it
took
take?
about
I was
that
going to
one.
say, like, how long did it take? Yeah,
About 3
years? Okay, yeah.
to stop just expecting a massive team fight at every moment. Speaking of which, we do have a dragon coming up. This is, of course, Ocean Soul for T1 if they can lock that one down. GENG desperate to deny that one.
Look as well, all cooldowns are up. Flashes across the board.
You don't say.
Ghost available.
As T1
There we
looking for
go.
the trade. We're just going to trade it. GENG, of course, denying Soul, fantastic. But getting one Ocean Drake, not going to mean that much. This is the power of Soul Point. As T1 has started this one off, they can back away from it at a moment's notice. At Faker diving forward, doesn't find Chovy there. Everfrost is good. Equalizer, even better. But Doran, he's immune, guys. And now T1 will back away. Let's count how many are dead. None.
And nothing really burned apart from the ultimates, but now T1 still trying to push forward, trying to make sure they can get control over mid lane, so it's very hard for GENG to move across. They
Oh,
use
Delight
nothing.
gets the flash headbutt. They find the backline as Gumayushi already has used the Featherstorm. Doran down incredibly low. Stays alive for so long, but it's not going to be enough. Another couple of kills to come through for the Rumble, and T1 come alive at 25 minutes.
And it starts off with the engage, but it is not enough. Guma stays alive nonetheless. Paze is swept out of the team fight by Faker, and without that damage, T1 is gonna break open the base.
And it was so even for so long, and now
No.
T1 are just crushing
No.
through the base of GENG. What can one cow do? He needs to buy 10 seconds of time, but it's not going to happen. And at 26 minutes, almost on the dot, T1 will take the Nexus and win a Game 5 for the first time in so long.